but knowing Christ will bring joy. Listen, it's not a punishment to become a Christian. You know, I think for us as believers in Jesus Christ, sometimes like we act like we're Christians, or we say we're Christians, but it's almost like a punishment, you know, like, yes, I'm a Christian and all the joy is gone out of my life. And a lot of times when we give our testimony, we talk about it that way, right? Man, I was living it up, having the time of my life, and then I got saved. Like, well, what happened after you got saved? Like, there's a whole lot that happened to me after I got saved than what happened to me before I got saved. And so we ought to focus on those things. And this person here, he said he found joy. Like, in his joy, he gave up all that he has. And you know what? I found out with a true relationship, when you really love someone, when you give something up or you sacrifice someone, it's not an obligation. It's out of joy. It's out of joy. And you know, a lot of times in marriage, when somebody says, well, you don't have to do that. No, I get to do that. Listen, when you love your spouse, you get to do those things for them. When you love God, I don't have to preach. I get to preach, right? Like, you don't have to serve God. You get to serve God. You don't have to have those things in your life. You get to do those things, and there should be joy that comes from that. John 15:11 says, I have told you this, that you may have joy in you, and that your joy may be full, or your joy may be complete. And you know, we should always look to the joy of our salvation. And you know, and David talked about when he had his sin with Bathsheba, and one of the requests he made from God was, restore unto me the joy of my salvation. The joy of my salvation. And for us as Christians, I think we should really remember that never get over being saved. I really say that all the time, but we have to practice that. We have to preach it. And it's much like I said, with any relationship, when you take people for granted and you become ungrateful, all of a sudden the joy seems to leak out of your relationship. And for us with God, when we become ungrateful, when we become unthankful to God for the things that He does do for us and the things that He has done for us, and we become grumbling and complaining, the joy leaks out. And sometimes we don't have joy in our life, but when we go back to the beginning of it all, it's just the joy of knowing that Christ saved us. The joy of our salvation, and knowing Jesus should always lead to joy. And